Okay guys, so in these videos that are coming now in this chapter, I will show you how to recreate at least two different tracks that are playing on the radio, and just show you how easily they can be created inside of FL Studio without having like a ton of different equipment in the studio. And if you're just a newbie, you just started out with FL Studio, you can still create hits. And this is very easy to do. First of all, what I always do when I want to create a track, let's say that I'm not having any motivation for creating a track, or I don't have any idea what I want to create. So let's say that I'm just sitting here in the studio with a blank project like this, and I don't actually know what to do, what to create. I know that I want to create some electronic kind of dance music, but I don't exactly know the genre that I want to create. And I have a premium account on Spotify that I always use. So if you go to Spotify here, I'm subscribed to this Sirius XM BPM Channel 51 playlist. And this is the tracks that they are playing on Sirius XM BPM channel, which is the satellite radio in the United States. And always when I'm traveling there, I'm always listening to this radio channel, and I love the music that they're playing there. So I followed this playlist here, and there are a lot of different hits and a lot of different great songs out here that I always listen to when I want to create a track. And this is one track that they are playing on the radio right now that is very popular, and it's very easy to do. It's a very easy and simple track, and still they're playing it over and over again in all clubs here in Europe. So what we're going to do here is first let's take a listen to this track, and let's see what we can do inside of FL Studio, just the basic stock plugins that comes with FL Studio. So let's just take a look at these notes here, because these are just plain notes that are being played. So let's take a look at FL Studio, what we can do here to recreate that kind of same sound that comes with that track. So first, I'm always using this project that I showed you earlier on in this course, but I'm going to go with 3x oscillators here and just take a listen to these notes that are being played. So if we take a listen to the track again, to the intro there, and let's just play on my MIDI key. Know what we should play, what notes we should play. So first is F sharp, then A sharp, D sharp, and then we have B. So I'm going to start a new plugin here. It's called Citrus, which I really like. It's a very powerful synth that comes with FL Studio. And I have some presets here that I'm going to include in this course for free. So let's take a listen to the different presets that I have here. I think I know what kind of sound I want to use. I want to use some kind of bass pad here, because I think that's the sound that's used in the original track. I think that may be the sound. Let's take a listen to it again. You can see it's exactly the same sound. So I'm going to use this sound. So let's record this. So if we click on the record button here and just go with notes and automation. Something like that. So let's see here. If we double click here, we're in the piano roll. So let's select everything here, and if we go to Alt Q here, we will quantize them and just accept like that. If we go to Alt Q, we will get this window here, and I just want this standard kind of 16th note. So let's actually snap it to the bar. Then you can snap it like this, or you can go and snap to the beat. So let's do that. Now you can see every note here is on the grid here. So I'm going to use it as it is, like that. So now we have our bass sound there. That's it for the bass. Okay, so let's take a listen to the next part in the song that we should find and recreate. So you can hear a snare drum there, and I'm not going to listen to the different transition effects or the different effects that they're using in the song for now, because I want the fundamental sounds of the track as of now, and then we're going to build up the different effects for the track. So I have a kick drum, very clean and nice one, and I always use a kick drum. If we go to my sample pack here, favorites, and I use this progressive kick drum, I'm going to use it for this track as well. So just pan out like that. All right, so I'm going to disable all of the tracks and just have the kick drum on. And what I'm going to do here is to go to the mixer and channel rack, take the kick drum here, place it on the kick bus and lower the kick a bit. So this is what you want to use. You want to take all of your sounds and assign them to the mixer channels. So I always go to at least from number 10 in the channel mixer for the track and assign it from number 10 and 10 until how much I want for every single sound that I'm using. And then I'm bussing everything out depending on what kind of the instrument is. So let's say that this is a bass pad. I'm assigning the bass pad here to number 10, and then I'm assigning the number 10 channel to the bass. So, and then deleting it from the master here. So now we have the bass pad going into its own mixer channel, and then it's going to the bass bus, and from the bass bus, it's going out to the master. So if we now enable the track here, and it's losing a bit of its sound because we're using a parametric EQ for that. So I'm going to disable it. Right, so just let's lower the volume a bit. So a very important thing to do when you're producing your music is to always lower the volume on all of your new sounds. Because if you have everything on maximum volume like this, then it's going to clip, it's going to be too much all of the time. So it's very important to take a look at the volumes in the mixer, and you always want your kick drum to be the loudest point in your track. And what I do most often is to take the kick drum's volume here and lower it to about -6 dB. You can see that in the info panel there. So around -6 dB, and then mix everything underneath that. So let's say that I have this bass pad here, and you can see I have this set on -15, -14, and then I'm going to mix all of the other sounds depending on where I want them to be in the mixing. But still, I want the basic mixing to be done when I produce the music. And this is very simple because I want everything to be organized, and it's going to be a lot simpler to do this in the mixing stage. Sometimes when you go to the mixing stage, you forgot like why you did some sounds, why you created, let's say, why you imported this kind of sample, and then when you go to the mixing stage, you don't know anything about that sample, maybe you get rid of it. Yeah, so it's very important to assign everything to its mixer channel, lower the volume on it, and then move on, you know. So let's close the mixer, and now we have our sounds, we have a kick drum, and we have the bass. So the next sound that we're looking for is a bass sound again, but it's more like a bass synth, more of that than a bass pad that we had here. So let's go to the channel rack again. I'm going to hit up one more citrus. I'm going to, let's take a look at these different bass sounds that I have here. Let's take a listen to our track. A little glides that going on in the bass section. But I don't think this sound is the right one to use for this sound, so let's browse around here and see what we have. what we got. I tweak the bass a little bit so it sounds like this now. You can see all of the different settings that I have. I'm also going to post this project file here in this course, so you can just copy this preset if you want to. You can use it as well. Okay, so I'm going to draw out the notes for this bass sound, so let's do this. So previously I recorded the notes, but I'm going to recreate them by hand like this because you can variate the different notes here. For instance, I'm going 1 octave up here, and I'm going 1 octave here up, and I'm also going 1 octave up here as well. So this is why I'm creating the notes by hand here in the piano roll. So as you see, if I click somewhere here in the piano roll, in the timeline here, you can see that it's going to play from that moment every time I hit the spacebar. This is very handy because if you're working on just this area, let's say, then it's very easy to just hit the spacebar all of the time here. If you then want to start, let's say, here from the beginning in the piano roll, you can just drag it like this. And you can see this by a ghost arrow here. So that is how you know that is set on that point. Okay, so there we have our bass sound. So let's place it here. You can now see we have our pattern 1 here. So let's first assign this to the mixer. So let's go to the channel rack here, and I want this to be placed at channel 11, and let's lower the volume here a bit. And I also placed an EQ here just to get rid of the high end in the bass sound. So as you can see, I have a parametric EQ2, and I just get rid of the high end here, boosted it a bit in the low mid, and leave it like this. And this is because I want to layer this bass sound with another bass sound, and that bass sound is going to be put a bit higher in the frequency spectrum. So let's actually clone this track like that. So now I have the same track, the same synth sound, the same preset and everything. So what we're going to do here is to take the piano roll notes and copy them over. So select all and Control C. Then we go into this new track, open up piano roll and Control V. So just paste it in like this. So now we have the two exact same sounds playing the exact same notes. So I'm going to hit up another preset here. I'm going to go to bass and let's see what we have here. I'm going to go with electric. Let's take a listen to this. Yeah, that is exactly what I wanted. Yeah, so what I want to do here is to layer this sound with this bass sound, but this is assigned to mixer channel 11. And in the mixer channel 11, we had our EQ, which took off the high end. So if we assign it to number 12 now, lower the volume here, it's not assigned to any EQ, so now we will have the high end here. So now if we play these two basses together, you can still hear this bass sound taking over a bit, so let's lower the volume here. Yeah, so you can hear these bass sounds being grouped now. So what we're going to do here is to group these together to the bass bus that we have, and let's just have this EQ disabled that we had in the template, because we're already treating these bass sounds, the two bass sounds here. So we don't want any additional EQ, because that's going to mess up our sound design here. So let's route these two tracks. Let's go with this one first to bass, disable it from the master. Same thing goes with this, like that. So now let's put on a gross beat here, and let's go with a sidechain preset. That's too much. So let's say that we want something like this. So there we have our bass sound, but I think this track is a bit too fast in tempo, so let's lower it. And also create a new pattern for a bass pad here. And we don't want any sidechain on that, so I'm actually going to reroute this track. We had it routed to bass, but let's just route it to the master for now. Alright, so we have our bass pad. I'm going to put it here, and we're going to resize it a bit, like that. So now we have our pattern 2, and we're going to have this set as bass pad. Let's color it something similar to the bass, but not the same, just so we can see the difference between them. And yeah, let's just resize it like that. All right, so now we have the bass sound and the bass pad and the kick drum. So let's take a listen to the other elements that we had in the track. So this sound is definitely not the same sound as they're using in their track, but it is something similar to this that I want to have. So let's see what we can do with this. No, that is way too off. That was actually our track. I thought that was from Spotify. I got this plug 3 here, and I'm going to play the melody from the original track that comes from Gigi D'Agostino. So let's try it here. Alright, so we have the plug sound here, and let's record the sound. So let's create a new pattern. We have the pattern 3 here, and let's play it here. And that's actually the original from Gigi D'Agostino's original track that this track comes from. So let's record that, and then we're going to rearrange the notes a bit so it fits with other elements in the track. So let's record it. So there we have our pattern. Let's choose it like this. Let's move this to the synth. Let's double click it, select all. Now we have to quantize it, so Alt Q, and we want the standard beat here, accept it. So now we have it quantized and ready to go basically. So it's not really quantized in this section here, so let's take a look why it doesn't work. Okay, so we want it to be beat, accept. So let's go to the sensitivity knob and let's make it full, accept, and now it should be in time. You can see it here. All of the notes are perfectly aligned to the grid here. So let's assign this track here, the plug, to mixer channel number 13, and let's lower the volume a bit. I'm going to route this to the synths bus, and we're going to take a gross beat here as well, just to make the side chain. So side chain, and instead of just doing this all of the time here, you can create a preset for the side chain. So we're going to do that. Let's have it like this, save preset as, and then we're going to just name it side chain. So now every time when we go to the gross beat here, let's redo that. Let's delete the plugin from here. Let's like this. All right, and now we're going to the gross beat again. Presets, and we have our side chain. And that is way too much, so let's lower the side chain. So now we want to rearrange the notes here because this is way too much melody. So we want it to be like in this track, so let's take a listen to it again. The same thing as in this one, but there are some differences. There is some bending going on there, and with the Citrus, with the built-in plugin here, Citrus, I mean, you can do it, you can bend different notes, and you can go through the different plugin settings here in the Citrus. But for that, I would recommend some third-party plugins like Serum, Nexus, or Silent. They are amazing for doing this. But we're not going to do that in this course because this course is all about the basics in FL Studio. But I'm going to show you how to arrange the track now and just how to create automations and different transitions and stuff like that. So let's continuing with the sculpting of the synth sound here. I want it to be a bit more aggressive, so let's do that by going to the mixer. And in the mixer channel here, I want to create some effects, because you can have effects on in the individual channels, in the individual mixer channels. And there are different effects you can use here. So let's say that we want something that colors the sound. So you can have distortion, as you can see here. So let's choose something like this maybe. Yeah, that is not what I was looking for. So let's replace it with something else. That was exactly what I wanted. So let's modify the notes a bit. Let's take a listen to the original track. Doing the same thing here. So something like that. I'm going to lower the distortion a bit because I think it's a bit too much. Yeah, and I think I'm going to take off some reverb here as well. So I think the reverb is actually in the synth itself. So Okay guys, so that is it for sculpting the sounds. Now I'm going to create a beat. So we're going to create kick drums, we're going to create claps, snares, and all of that basic drum stuff. Then when we're done with that, we're going to go over to the arranging part. So we're going to arrange our little track here. And then after that, we're going to bounce it out. We're going to create a mix. So first, let's do some housekeeping here. So let's just rename and color these patterns. So first pattern that we have here, let's take a listen to it. So this is our bass synth. So let's rename and color it. So bass synth. Oh yeah, and we want to color it as well. So let's do this color, or let's do the same as in the playlist here. So let's do a blue color like that. Now I have the second pattern, which is our bass pad. So let's rename and color it to bass pad, and let's put a blue color on that one as well. Then we have the next pattern, which is the third pattern. That's our melody. So let's rename and color it melody, and we have a kind of a green color there. Okay, so now we have the kick, synth, bass, and the bass pad. And the kick sample is actually in this list here, but I'm going to keep the name as it is because I know that this is the kick drum. But we could potentially rename, color, and icon it as well. So yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. So now we have a kick drum here and the sample name kicked. But we can't really see the name here. We have to zoom in. So now we can see the sample is renamed to kick here in the playlist. Okay, so now we have everything colored and named. Okay, so let's take a look at the different drum loops that we can add here. So we're going to create a beat now. So let's just take a look at the different drum samples that comes with FL Studio. So if you go to packs here, you can see drums, and now you can see cymbals, hats, kicks, and everything else here. So because we already have a kick drum, I'm going to create a snare. So let's take a listen to the original track. So that's kind of like a clap and snare. So a kick drum is going on in the beginning, and then it's a snare with a clap that is, I think they are layered with each other. So let's take a listen to a nice snare here. I'm going to go with this clap here. So this one, and also this one as well. So I'm going to layer these two claps here, and let's zoom in a bit. You can see they are muted, so let's enable them. And I'm going to assign these two sounds to a mixer bus. So let's go with mixer bus 15. And just lowering the sample here. So we can just layer it out like this, and I'm going to do it. So the clap is, let's see here, going to go with setting the clap there and there. Okay, that is a bit low in volume, so let's lower it. Let's make it a bit higher. I'm going to separate these two claps because I want one clap to be louder than the other one. So let's go back to our channel rack and let's move the other clap to mixer bus number 16. I want this clap to be louder, and that's the number 16. So let's make the number 16 a bit louder and number 15 lowering that a bit. Yeah, and we can perfect this a lot. Like for this purpose, I'm just going to show you how to create a basic track. So I'm not going to sit with a clap and perfect it and do other stuff. So I'm just going to show you how you can do it. But as you can see, you can scroll through different samples. And let's say that you don't like this sample, you can just go to one other sample here and just send to selected channel or focus plugin, and that will actually replace this clap. So you can do it that way as well. All right, so let's arrange these claps out here just so we have a nice loop, so we can loop this. And you can do it this way, or you can put it in a channel rack here and set it like that, and then arrange it in the playlist. But when I work with audio, I prefer having the audio in the playlist straightly out like that. And this is because I can clip different stuff here. Let's say that I want to slice a clip. I can slice it out on one moment. If I only use MIDI for the drums, then it's not that flexible to do. And if you're working with audio, you can just go ahead and slice it like that. All right, so now we have our clap and snare. Let's take a listen to what we have more in the original track. So let's open that up and go to all. And now let's take a listen to a close hat that I want. I think I want this one, so let's just drag it in like this. Create a new pattern, pattern 4. Rename and color it. And I want this to be kind of orange because the drums here are orange. And okay, so let's do it like this. You can also fill each 8 steps, of course. Sounds very static. So let's open up the piano roll for this one and lower the velocity. Okay, so now we're going to put it here in the drum section. Spin it out. We want to assign that to the mixer, so let's go in a new channel here, number 17. What I want to do with this one as well is to create a side chain, so let's do that. Let's go with a gross beat here and put the side chain on, and we also have our presets, as you remember, so let's put it like that. Okay guys, so I think it's time for the arrangement, so let's do it. Let's close the channel rack here and let's create a basic arrangement. So I'm going to select all of these clips here and just move it like that. And now we can freely create our very simple and short arrangement. So first, let's take a listen to it. So we're starting out with the bass pad. So let's select the bass pad here and let's have it set up like that. And we obviously don't have the vocal, so we can't have the vocal in the project here. But other than that, I'm going to trying to recreate almost all of the elements what I can do in this track here is to recreate all of the effects, because that is going to take a lot of time to trying to recreate the exact effects that is going on in this track. What I really recommend you is to take one of my other FL Studio courses, which is going to be full production courses. Those courses are more in depth when it comes to production. So we're digging really deep into the productions and tweaking all of the different individual samples and sounds, and really analyzing different tracks and trying to recreate our own track with a reference track. All right, so we want a snare roll, so I'm going to go to one of my own sample packs here, and you can find these sample packs for free on music-prod.com, and because you're attending this course, you will get all of these sample packs for free, of course. I'm going to use the snare rolls here, and let's take a listen to different snare rolls. Let's use this one here. Let's use this one here. So I'm going to have it set up like that. Let's see if this is in tempo or not. So this is in 128 BPM. So we're going to make it in 126. So let's create this snare roll in the same tempo as the project. So as you can see, all of the samples here are named by the tempo. So the sample's original tempo here is in 128 BPM, but our project is in 126 BPM. So we want to change the tempo of this one, and you can do that by going to this little icon here on this clip. If you click it, press Fit to Tempo, and now you can see that. Please select the tempo range in BPM the sample is the most likely to be in, or choose to keep the tempo the sample is currently assigned to. So as you can see, it's assigned at 102.4 BPM, and that is not the original tempo, because the original tempo in this sample is in 128 BPM. So let's type in BPM, and let's type in 128, and now it should be in the same tempo as this project. Yeah, so what we have here now is the snare roll. Let's assign this. So let's assign this to the mixer. Let's do it number 17. Let's lower it. Okay, so now we also want to have up and down lifter here. We want an uplifter first before the drop hits. Yeah, I want a very basic kind of noise sample. Something like that maybe. And now we want this sample here to be assigned as well to the mixer. So I'm going to assign it to number 18. And now lower the volume a lot on this one. We just want this to be in the background basically. Okay, so let's arrange the other things here in the track. So let's now do the kick drums. I'm going to copy and paste them. So now I can just work in blocks here. So let's do it like this, as well as the other things. I don't want the clip as of now. I just want basically the bass synth. So let's have the bass synth there. Okay, so let's get the clap in for now. And let's move the other things away so we have more space to arrange the track. Bass synth there as well. I want to get rid of one of the kick drums here before this section, just to introduce the next section of the arrangement. So let's copy everything over now besides the bass pad. So let's do something like that. Okay, we want the hats to be a bit louder. So let's see the hats. And we have the hats at number 17 in the mixer. So let's go to the mixer here. And I think that was the snare roll as well. So let's assign it to number 19. And now you can see, because I didn't name anything in the mixer, now you can see it's a mess, you know, because you can't really find, you don't know what this is. So you always have to look at the channel rack to see what instrument is assigned to what channel in the mixer. And I did this on purpose because I wanted to show you how messy it can be in FL Studio if you're not assigning your tracks to the sample. Okay, so we have number 19 here for the hats. So let's get back to the mixer. Number 19. This can be too loud. Let's see. Yes, it is. And we had our grass beat in the snare roll, so that shouldn't be there, but it should be on our hat section. So let's go to the grass beat, preset, sidechain. I think the sidechain is too deep for the hats. So something like that. Let's lower the volume on the snare roll. We also want to cut the snare roll a bit just before this section. Alright, so let's copy over the last section. So we can just move it like that because this is going to be our last section in this arrangement. So it's basically the same thing here, and let's see if they added on some more besides the hats. No, that's it basically. So as you can see, this track is very, very, very simple. It's nothing that I would like release or anything like that. It's just to show you how easy you can create different ideas, just throwing in samples, just assigning them to the mixer like that. And yeah, as you can see, it's so easy to create different ideas in FL Studio. The only thing that I think FL Studio lacks a bit is with the arrangement, because you can create different stuff in the arrangement, and I have a lot of experience with different digital audio workstations. I really like the way you arrange stuff in Logic Pro 10, but that is Mac only, and I mean, there are different stuff in FL Studio that I really like and that I don't like in Logic, for instance. So this big digital audio workstation debate that is out there, which which one is the best one, you know. And I think all of the different digital audio workstation has their own like good stuff and bad stuff, good sides and bad sides. And yeah, the piano roll in FL Studio, for instance, I think is the best piano roll out there of all of the digital audio workstations. And there are some different talks within like forums and Reddit and different stuff that FL Studio lacks in quality for some reason if you compare it to other digital audio workstation. And I heard a lot that Logic has the best quality or sound quality or something like that. And I would disagree on this because, you know, there are a lot of different producers that uses FL Studio. The big one, for instance, Avicii, that unfortunately isn't with us anymore, but he did create all of his monster hits with FL Studio. And that is with FL Studio, with the basic tools that I'm showing you here. And of course, he has a lot of projects that are like very professionally done. And this is because he's sitting there with his computer and FL Studio all day long, all night long. That is how he developed his process with producing these monster hits on FL Studio. But I'm just showing you that the potential of FL Studio is very huge. You can create big projects for FL Studio. You don't have to own another digital audio workstation like Logic or Ableton or other stuff like that. FL Studio is a monster of quality when it comes to produce music. That's I think one of the best out there.